Hello and welcome back to Edin Nuir. I'm waiting for some roads to the next stage of my roads to dry at the moment. And while I've been twiddling around getting those sorted for my next Tyranny of Dragons game, I've been making some other bits and pieces just to make the there's a roadway involved in the campaign somewhere. And so I've just been making some more bits and pieces because a lot of up until this point has been like internals and what have you, so I haven't had to make a lot of outdoorsy stuff. But now I do, and I'm finding a lot of amusement in making simple little bits and pieces, and I thought I would show off some of my machinations. So what I've come about making is I've made some simple fences. There's another type of fence that I want to make, but as with a lot of things, I want to make sure that it looks right before I show it to you guys. And it's going to take a while to put it together, so that could be for another time. Anywho, furiously waffling. Right, so what I used to make these small fences was I picked up some of these. Ooh, different angle for my camera, getting used to it. I picked up some of these, which are like little cocktail skewer things with a paddle end. You get loads of them and they're not expensive at all. And also I've already cut it to cut these to 3-inch pieces, but these are just like barbecue skewer, long barbecue skewers that I'm using for the cross pieces. And you can use scissors to cut these and whatever else. My scissors are a bit blunt at the moment, so I'm using a razor saw. And it only takes a few strikes to go through enough to break these skewers. So there's that. Don't need the point, so the point can be become pointless. So yeah, the base that I've used for these has been out of a lollipop stick, just for a little bit of weight and sturdiness. You could just as easily use a piece of cardboard. You could probably also get away with using cocktail sticks as the cross beams as well, if that's what you've got available to. So there's the first one of the posts. I'm going to do this as quickly as possible because this is supposed to be a quick thing, and then I just wanted to show you the signpost that you can see just off to the side, because that is ludicrously simple to make one of those, and that's also using these paddles. I'm not doing anything amazing off camera. I'm just using the edge of my table to make cutting these things slightly easier. So yeah. Right, so I have my 3 posts. I then take, you could use a piece of sandpaper for this. I'm just using move the light around slightly. I'm just using a flat-faced file just to take off where I've just sawn it. You end up with some really square edges and it doesn't look right to me. And also with a file, you don't really get a vast amount of control on what you're doing because the piece is too small, you can't see it while you're filing it. I actually like that because it's an old fence post. So, and also I like to take the edge of the file and run it up and just take a bit of the uniform squareness off of the edge of the post as well. I'm not sure how well that'll show up on camera, but I'll show you in just a second. And also it helps alleviate, because these are a cheap thing, I'm not sure how great that's going to show up, but I've just taken it, I've made the edges, so this is put a hand behind it, see if it picks up. So you can see that's got really sharp 90-degree edges. This one now has not. It also eliminates the possibility of there being any splintering, because these being cheap mass-produced pieces of wood, well, to say corners could be cut, corners could be cut, well, it happens. That's why I would like the barbecue skewers that I use for a lot of things. You end up with, once you've cut those, you end up having to use a small knife or something to trim off, because you actually get like whole entire lengths of some of the skewers just come away like really, really thin, spindly pieces of wood. I've been also making plenty of I've been mooching around on YouTube. You've got DM Scotty's wagons, and I think Dungeons and Glue Sticks, I think, also put out a wagon, I believe. I could be misquoting you. If so, there'll be a pop-up right about now. but I've been looking around seeing other people's methods of making some carts and stuff along with my own that I've shown, because I needed some freight carts and stuff like that making up. And I'm also in the process of making a rather novel, humongous cart. I mean, I suppose in medieval terms this thing might be close to like your semi-truck. It's a bit huge, but I have reasons for it because of a little interesting bit that I'm adding to my game for my party. Right, so baseboard. Once again, you could use scissors to cut this. I'm using a razor saw because I have a razor saw. And my scissors are overworked and rather blunt at the moment. You can make the base for these out of cardboard just as easily. I'm just using wood because I kind of overbought a lot of materials when I started getting into doing all this DM crafting stuff, which you could say no such thing as too much material. I may beg to differ. Small amount of space, not a lot of space to store lifestyle things, and I think I bought everything. So I'm just taking the file, which once again you could use sandpaper, or you could use a sharp pair of scissors, just to round off the edges of this again. I'm going to whap in the glue gun, which, realising now I should have done that at the start of the video, so I'm going to just take a pause right now. Actually, let's not take a pause. Instead, let's move on to what I was going to say at the show at the end. Right. Also, I decided to make some like way signs, so these could go on the roads or beside the roads. Once again, I'm just going to pick up the camera to show you. So this one is made using just one of the skewers with the barb cut off the bottom, the post cut to a shorter length, rounded off with the file like I did before, and then I actually used the paddle end to make the sign itself. Just hot glued together, and it's just a cardboard base that's seamed with hot glue just to hide the corrugation. This one was an offcut of balsa wood, but it could just as easily have been a lollipop stick. I've just got spare bits of wood that I'm slowly accumulating. This was something out of a old models bits box, so ignore these barrels because it's not something I made. I just glued them on. But yeah, I just thought a few different types of like road marker, road signs. This one, well, no, both of them really being inspired by. I walk around a lot in a video game called The Witcher 3. And I've been just taking inspiration for a lot of my little bits and pieces based on what I've seen in there. Just try and put that back where it was. So, are we cooked? Let's have a look. See, and there's no ready to go. There's no complete science to fitting these together. All I've been doing is one goes one end, one goes vaguely in the middle, and one goes at the opposite end. Amazing as that was, and you probably guessed the ending before I said it. So you'll end up with throwing things around because of the glue wisps that are now stuck to your fingers. So yeah, you'll end up with just a piece with 3 prongs attached to it. Then it's on the. Notice how you might notice that I have slightly offset them. The posts are further one side than the other. That is because, and don't know if I can show it better. Is I'm just going to put a spudge of. It would be infinitely neater for me to use white glue, but I'm impatient. So I'm just putting 6 marks of hot glue on here, and then it's crossbeam 1. Crossbeam 2, and presto, it already looks pretty fence-like. Just as a side thing, I mean, the fences that I made here, I just decided to make one of them look like they'd kind of collapsed, just for a little bit of flavour there. I'm going to just tack this one ever so slightly more. I've also added a little bit of, I have a green very fine sponge, like a flock, that I add for like moss, and I've also added those, but I'm almost certain, even if I hold this right up Oh, okay. Oh no, you can. You can. If I put my hand behind it, you can see even better. Can you? Yes, you can see just some granules of it that are on top of the cross beams and stuff of the fence, just to give it a little bit more character rather than just being two-tone brown. Speaking of the two-tone brown, what I used was a burnt umber for the undercoat of the whole shebang. Then I have a Vallejo Desert Yellow. These are the Vallejo bowls. I have a Vallejo Desert Yellow that I then dry brushed over the whole thing, and then it's just typical basing setup of PVA glue and static grass to get you. I really need to bring that lamp down here, I think. So yeah, PVA glue, static grass, and end up with. And I've lost a piece already. No, I haven't. So yeah, you can end up with little boxed off pieces. I'm only making 4 pieces of fence at the moment because these are supposed to just be roadside decorations right now, and I think 4 is plenty for that ambition. And you've got your signs and stuff, and there's a miniature for representation. So something I should have said way back at the beginning. Each one of the upright posts is about 1 inch. Each one of the cross pieces is 3 inches that I've used to make these. The base piece is also 3 inches, just for posterity. So yeah, that is just a little blurb, a little ramble about doing some fencing and maybe some roadside details. And I thought someone might find that interesting. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and have fun making things.